What if humans could breathe underwater? There is another world on our planet, a world older than the dinosaurs, larger than every continent combined, and more mysterious than the surface of Mars. It stretches across more than 70% of Earth's surface, reaching depths so extreme that the pressure could crush steel like paper. It is home to glowing predators, underwater mountains taller than Everest, rivers that flow beneath the sea, and creatures so strange they seem impossible. Yet, despite living beside it for thousands of years, humanity has barely explored it, not because we lack intelligence, not because we lack curiosity, but because nature gave us one fatal limitation. We can't breathe underwater. For our entire existence, every dive into the ocean has been a race against time. Every breath taken beneath the surface has depended on fragile equipment, careful planning, and the hope that nothing goes wrong. The moment the oxygen runs out, the ocean begins to reclaim what entered its domain. But imagine waking up tomorrow morning and discovering that this limitation has vanished. No warning, no explanation, no scientific breakthrough. You step into your swimming pool, sink beneath the surface, instinctively gasp in panic, and instead of choking, you inhale. The water fills your lungs, yet somehow you feel no pain. Your chest doesn't tighten, your body doesn't fight back. You simply continue breathing as naturally as if you were standing in your kitchen. At first, you think you're dreaming. Then, your family tries it. Then, your neighbors. Within hours, millions of people around the world are doing exactly the same thing. History changes before lunchtime. The first reports confuse emergency services. Parents call ambulances after watching their children stay underwater for 20 minutes without surfacing. Lifeguards jump into pools expecting to rescue drowning swimmers, only to find them calmly waving from the bottom. Hospitals prepare for a global medical emergency that never arrives. Doctors perform chest scans, nothing unusual. Blood tests, normal. Heart rate, normal. Lungs, completely unchanged. According to every medical instrument ever invented, humans are still human, and yet they can breathe underwater. By evening, every television station has interrupted its programming. Scientists hold emergency press conferences. Religious leaders call it a miracle. Governments establish international research teams. Social media becomes almost unrecognizable. Videos appear showing families eating lunch beneath swimming pools. Children play football across the sandy bottom of shallow beaches. Musicians perform concerts underwater without surfacing once. Divers throw away equipment worth thousands of dollars because they no longer need it. For the first time in history, humanity has conquered drowning. Or so it believes. Because breathing has never been the ocean's greatest weapon. It was only the first test. To understand why, we first need to understand why humans were never supposed to breathe underwater in the first place. Most people believe that when we breathe, we simply fill our lungs with oxygen. The truth is far more incredible. Inside your lungs are around 500 million microscopic air sacs called alveoli. If they could somehow be unfolded and spread across the ground, they would cover almost the area of an entire tennis court. Every breath you take sends air into these tiny sacs. The walls of each sac are so unbelievably thin that oxygen can slip directly into your bloodstream, while carbon dioxide leaves your body to be exhaled. It is one of evolution's greatest masterpieces. But there is a catch. It only works because you're breathing a gas. The moment water enters those delicate air sacs, everything changes. Water is far denser than air. Instead of allowing oxygen to move easily into your blood, it blocks the exchange entirely. The oxygen you need is still there, just hopelessly out of reach. Contrary to popular belief, fish aren't breathing the oxygen locked inside water molecules. They're breathing tiny amounts of dissolved oxygen floating between them. Extracting that oxygen requires a completely different organ: gills. If lungs are nature's balloons, gills are nature's filters. Thousands of delicate filaments provide an enormous surface area where water flows continuously across blood vessels. Even more remarkable is the way blood flows through those vessels. Instead of traveling in the same direction as the water, it travels in the opposite direction. This process, known as counter-current exchange, allows fish to extract almost every possible molecule of oxygen before the water leaves their bodies. It's so efficient that many fish remove up to 90% of the available oxygen. Human lungs couldn't come close. So if every person on Earth suddenly gained the ability to breathe underwater, something impossible must have happened. Either billions of humans developed microscopic gills overnight, or biology itself rewrote one of its oldest rules. Neither explanation should be possible, yet every experiment confirms the same impossible result. Humans can breathe beneath the waves forever. The discovery sends shock waves through the global economy. Scuba equipment manufacturers watch their sales collapse almost overnight. Commercial diving companies celebrate. Marine archaeologists begin planning expeditions that would once have cost millions of dollars. Oil platforms redesign worker schedules. Search and rescue teams prepare for an entirely new era. Tourism changes almost instantly. Imagine booking a holiday where instead of snorkeling for 20 minutes, you spend 6 uninterrupted hours walking across coral reefs. Entire hotels are redesigned with underwater gardens instead of swimming pools. Restaurants build dining rooms beneath the sea. Professional sports invent underwater marathons, football leagues, and obstacle courses. Children grow up treating the ocean as another neighborhood park. For a brief moment, the future looks limitless. Humanity has unlocked an entirely new world. But every new frontier comes with hidden dangers. Within days, explorers begin traveling farther from shore than ever before. Some descend into underwater caves. Others search for legendary shipwrecks. Scientists seize the opportunity to study whales in their natural environment without expensive submarines. The world's oceans suddenly become crowded. Yet almost everyone makes the same dangerous assumption. If I can breathe, I'll be fine. Unfortunately, breathing has never guaranteed survival. The ocean isn't dangerous because it takes away your air. It's dangerous because everything else is trying to kill you. Take temperature. Even on a warm, tropical day, the deeper ocean can be astonishingly cold. Water removes heat from your body around 25 times faster than air. That means a person who feels perfectly comfortable on land can become dangerously hypothermic underwater in a surprisingly short amount of time. Being able to breathe changes nothing. Your body still loses heat, your muscles still weaken, your judgment still fades. Then there's visibility. People often imagine oceans as endless blue spaces lit by sunlight. Reality couldn't be more different. Sunlight disappears rapidly beneath the surface. By around 200 meters, the world begins to darken dramatically. By 1,000 meters, it is almost completely black. Not the darkness of a moonless night. The kind of darkness where light has never existed. A darkness so complete that your own hand becomes invisible centimeters from your face. Now imagine swimming there. No horizon, no sky, no sound except your own heartbeat, no sense of direction. Only endless black water surrounding you from every angle. For many people, that psychological isolation would be more terrifying than any predator. And yet, predators are still there. Sharks often dominate our fears, but statistically, they are among the least dangerous large animals in the ocean. The real threats are often much smaller. Stonefish carry venom powerful enough to cause unbearable pain. Blue-ringed octopuses contain toxins capable of killing a person within minutes. Tiny box jellyfish possess venom that attacks the heart, nervous system, and skin simultaneously. Being able to breathe underwater offers no protection from any of them. If anything, it encourages people to spend more time where they live. Then comes the danger almost nobody considers: pressure. The silent force that has shaped every creature living beneath the waves. At sea level, your body experiences one atmosphere of pressure. Descend just 10 meters underwater. That pressure doubles. Another 10 meters, it triples. The ocean isn't simply surrounding you anymore. It's squeezing every square centimeter of your body with relentless force. Your newfound ability to breathe doesn't strengthen your bones. It doesn't reinforce your organs. And it certainly doesn't stop the invisible physics that have ruled the deep sea for billions of years. The deeper humanity travels, the more obvious one terrifying truth becomes. We never conquered the ocean. We only conquered drowning. And those are two very different things. In the depths below, countless mysteries are still waiting. Some beautiful, some deadly, and some that humanity has never encountered before. Because, for the first time in history, nothing is stopping us from going deeper than we ever dared, except the ocean itself. The first deaths would shock the world, not because people drowned. That had become impossible. Instead, they would die believing they had become invincible. The ocean has a way of rewarding confidence right before it punishes it. At first, the tragedies would seem random. An experienced diver disappears while exploring a cave only 40 meters below the surface. A group of tourists enters a beautiful underwater tunnel and never returns. Marine researchers lose contact with a team studying an ancient shipwreck, despite every member being perfectly capable of breathing. Search crews eventually find them. None had drowned. None had run out of oxygen. Instead, they had become victims of something humanity had always underestimated: the ocean itself. Unlike a forest or a desert, the sea has almost no landmarks. Once you descend beneath the surface, your sense of direction begins to disappear. Up and down lose their meaning. Without sunlight, there is no horizon. Without waves above you, there is no obvious path home. One wrong turn inside an underwater cave can become a death sentence. People often assume caves are simply tunnels beneath the earth. Underwater caves are something entirely different. They are labyrinths carved over millions of years, twisting through solid rock in complete darkness. Some passages narrow until only one person can squeeze through. Others suddenly split into multiple tunnels that appear almost identical. Even experienced cave divers describe them as some of the most dangerous places on Earth. Until now, only a handful of highly trained explorers ever entered them. But now, billions of people can. Curiosity becomes humanity's greatest weakness. Thousands begin searching for hidden caves, convinced their new ability has removed every risk. It hasn't. Because breathing isn't the same as finding your way back. Imagine swimming through a narrow tunnel when your flashlight suddenly fails. Around you is absolute darkness. Not darkness as you've known it. This is darkness so complete that your own eyes become meaningless. You stretch out your hand. You can't see it. You spin around. Every direction feels exactly the same. Water presses silently against your skin. There is no wind, no footsteps, no echo to guide you, only your own breathing. You are no longer trapped by a lack of oxygen. You're trapped by endless choices. And choosing the wrong direction could mean swimming deeper into a maze from which no human has ever escaped. Then there is the pressure. Most people imagine pressure as something they can feel. An uncomfortable squeeze in the ears, a tightness in the chest. The reality is much stranger. Pressure doesn't simply push against your body. It changes the behavior of everything inside it. As divers descend today, gases dissolve into their blood under increasing pressure. If they return to the surface too quickly, those gases expand into tiny bubbles. These bubbles block blood vessels, damage nerves, tear delicate tissues, and can stop the heart entirely. The condition is known as decompression sickness. Divers simply call it the bends. Our new underwater lungs haven't changed physics. The deeper people explore, the greater the danger becomes. Entire rescue organizations form around one simple mission: teaching humanity that breathing forever does not mean diving forever. Some people ignore the warnings. Human curiosity has never been famous for restraint. Records are broken every week. 100 meters, 300, 500. Every new depth becomes another headline, another celebration, another illusion that humanity has finally conquered nature. Then someone attempts 1,000 meters. No camera captures what happens next. Communication stops. The explorer never returns. Scientists already know why. At those depths, the ocean is no longer simply water. It becomes weight. Imagine balancing a family car on every square meter of your body. Now imagine stacking another, and another, and another. By 1,000 meters, every square centimeter of your body is being squeezed by forces almost impossible to comprehend. The strange thing is, you might not even realize it at first, because the danger isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's slow, silent. Your joints ache. Your thinking becomes sluggish. Your movements feel heavier. The pressure is rewriting the way your body functions, one organ at a time. Then there is the cold. Most people picture the ocean as tropical beaches and crystal-clear lagoons. But sunlight only warms a thin layer near the surface. Below that, temperatures fall rapidly. Much of the deep ocean sits only a few degrees above freezing, and water steals body heat with ruthless efficiency. Your new lungs keep supplying oxygen, your muscles keep working, but your body burns enormous amounts of energy trying to stay warm. Hours become minutes, minutes become seconds. Eventually, your hands stop responding. Your legs feel heavy. Your thoughts begin slowing down, not because you're running out of air, because your own body is quietly shutting itself down. And then there is the darkness. For centuries, humans feared the dark because predators could hide inside it. The deep ocean takes that fear to another level. Beyond a certain depth, sunlight disappears completely. There are no dawns, no sunsets, no moonlight, only endless black water stretching in every direction. Yet life still exists there. It simply learned to make its own light. Tiny plankton shimmer like drifting stars. Jellyfish pulse with electric blue rings. Fish carry glowing lures above their mouths, patiently waiting for prey curious enough to investigate. Entire forests of soft corals glow faintly against the darkness, turning the ocean floor into something that looks less like Earth and more like another planet. It's breathtaking. Until you remember why so many creatures glow, not to help others see, to hunt. Imagine seeing a single blue light floating peacefully in the darkness. You swim toward it. As you get closer, another light appears, then another. Suddenly, they move. The lights weren't floating. They were attached to something alive, something that noticed you long before you noticed it. The deep sea doesn't need giant monsters to be terrifying. It has patience, it has camouflage, and above all, it has time. Some predators remain perfectly still for hours, waiting for a single mistake. Others can sense vibrations from incredible distances. Every heartbeat, every movement, every splash announces your presence long before you ever see them. Humanity quickly realizes something uncomfortable. The deeper we explore, the less we resemble explorers, and the more we resemble visitors wandering through someone else's home. Then comes the greatest surprise of all. The ocean isn't empty. It is unbelievably crowded. Scientists estimate that millions of marine species have never been discovered. Many may live their entire existence without ever encountering sunlight. Others may never encounter humans at all. Until now, for the first time in Earth's history, billions of people begin entering their world. The question is no longer whether humans can survive underwater. The question becomes something far more dangerous. How will the ocean respond to us? Because history has shown that whenever humanity discovers a new frontier, we rarely leave it unchanged, and beneath the waves lies the largest frontier our species has ever touched. For thousands of years, humanity has looked toward the stars. We dreamed of building cities on Mars, mining asteroids, colonizing distant worlds. But perhaps we had been looking in the wrong direction all along, because beneath our feet lay another planet, one hidden beneath a thin blue blanket of water. And now, for the first time in history, it was open. The first underwater city wasn't built by governments. It was built by entrepreneurs. They saw what everyone else missed. If humans could breathe underwater, why return to the surface at all? At first, the idea sounded ridiculous. People still needed dry places to sleep. They still needed electricity, food, hospitals, and schools. Yet every great civilization in history had begun with something that once sounded impossible. Within a few years, coastal nations began constructing underwater platforms anchored to the seabed. At first, they were little more than research stations with reinforced living quarters. Then came restaurants, hotels, shopping centers, glass observation tunnels where families could eat dinner while sharks and sea turtles drifted silently overhead. For the wealthy, underwater homes became the ultimate luxury. Imagine waking up each morning to schools of tropical fish gliding past your bedroom window. No traffic, no city noise, only the slow rhythm of the ocean. Property developers called it paradise. Marine biologists called it a disaster waiting to happen, because every new building replaced part of a living ecosystem. Coral reefs that had taken thousands of years to grow were cleared to make room for foundations. Seagrass meadows disappeared beneath concrete. Species that had evolved in peace suddenly found themselves living beside millions of curious humans. History repeated itself. The same mistakes made on land were now happening beneath the sea. Except, this time, there was nowhere left for nature to retreat. The oceans quickly became the world's busiest highways. Except no one drove cars. People simply swam. Entire industries transformed almost overnight. Shipping companies hired underwater maintenance teams capable of inspecting massive cargo vessels without specialized diving equipment. Offshore wind farms expanded at unprecedented speed. Engineers repaired underwater internet cables in hours instead of weeks. Marine archaeology entered a golden age. Thousands of forgotten shipwrecks were finally explored. Ancient ports swallowed by rising seas revealed long-lost civilizations. Objects untouched for thousands of years suddenly saw daylight again. Every expedition rewrote another chapter of history. But with discovery came greed, because hidden beneath the ocean floor was something far more valuable than ancient treasure. Minerals, rare earth elements, cobalt, nickel, manganese, the very materials needed to build electric vehicles, smartphones, and advanced technology. For decades, extracting them had been difficult and expensive. Now, millions of workers could reach the seabed without breathing equipment. Deep sea mining exploded. Entire sections of the ocean floor were stripped bare. Gigantic machines crawled across ancient landscapes that had remained untouched since before the first dinosaurs walked the earth. Sediment clouds spread for hundreds of kilometers. Creatures that depended on darkness and stillness suddenly found their world buried beneath mud. Scientists warned that many species could disappear before they were even discovered. But history has shown that warnings rarely stop progress. The political consequences were just as dramatic. Who owns the ocean? For centuries, international law had offered complicated answers. But no one had imagined billions of people living beneath the waves. Countries raced to expand underwater territory. Artificial islands appeared across disputed waters. Military bases followed. Then came submarines, unlike anything the world had ever seen. Not filled with sailors, but acting as underwater cities, capable of supporting thousands of civilians. Entire coastlines became strategic assets. Nations with little access to the sea suddenly found themselves at a disadvantage. Global power shifted. The oceans had become the new frontier. And every frontier in history has eventually led to conflict. Not because people wanted war, because they wanted resources. Then something unexpected happened. The ocean began fighting back, not with giant sea monsters, not with mythical creatures, with something far more powerful: nature. As human activity increased, whales abandoned traditional migration routes. Dolphins disappeared from familiar coastlines. Coral reefs, already weakened by warming oceans, struggled beneath the constant disturbance. Even tiny changes echoed throughout the food chain. When plankton populations shifted, fish numbers changed. When fish moved elsewhere, predators followed. Entire ecosystems began rearranging themselves. People blamed pollution. Others blamed climate change. But marine ecologists recognized another cause. For the first time in Earth's history, humans had become a permanent underwater species. The balance of the oceans was changing. Then came the discoveries no one expected. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, researchers exploring an underwater trench found something extraordinary. Not a monster, not an alien. An ecosystem unlike anything ever documented. Forests of tube worms taller than people. Transparent fish with organs visible through their skin. Crabs covered in thick white bacteria that protected them from toxic chemicals. Life thriving around hydrothermal vents where temperatures exceeded 350 degrees Celsius. Places where sunlight had never reached, places where life survived entirely on chemicals erupting from the Earth's interior. Scientists stared in disbelief. If life could flourish here, perhaps it could exist almost anywhere. The discovery transformed the search for extraterrestrial life. The icy oceans beneath the surface of Jupiter's moon, Europa, no longer seemed impossible. Saturn's moon, Enceladus, suddenly looked far more promising. Perhaps oceans, not planets, were the true cradle of life throughout the universe. Ironically, the ability to breathe underwater hadn't just changed Earth. It had changed how humanity searched the cosmos. But there was one final lesson the ocean still had to teach. One that no technology, no government, and no scientific breakthrough could overcome. Respect. Despite our new ability, despite our underwater cities, despite our remarkable discoveries, the sea never stopped being stronger than us. Storms still generated waves taller than buildings. Earthquakes still triggered tsunamis that crossed entire oceans. Volcanoes still erupted beneath the seabed. And in the deepest trenches, pressure still reached levels that no human body could endure. The ocean had allowed us inside. It had never surrendered. Perhaps that is the greatest misconception humans have ever repeated. We believe exploration means conquest, that understanding something means controlling it. But the ocean reminds us that knowledge and power are not the same. We may breathe beneath its surface. We may build cities within its depths. We may even spend generations calling it home. Yet every current, every tide, and every storm whispers the same message. You are welcome here, but you were never designed for this place. And maybe that is exactly what makes the ocean so extraordinary. Not because it is waiting to be conquered, but because it never will be.